Are you ready to catch them all in DeFi Mons? The ultimate monster catching MMORPG. In this game, players can capture monsters, craft items, complete quests, and more. The story follows a branching pattern based on the decision that every player makes, making every playthrough a unique experience. Well, let's dive into what DeFi Mons is all about in this week's GameFi overview. Hey everyone, it's Zach, also known as Trading Aloha on Twitter. Today I want to give you a first look at DeFi Mons, which is the newest and hottest cross-chain NFT-based MMORPG out there. First up, let's take a look at DeFi Mons Twitter to show exactly what their social engagement is, and we can get a little history on how the game came to be. They took their inspiration from games like Pokemon and Stardew Valley, which you can see in the video here does kind of remind you of Pokemon if you've played it in the past. They've been in the making for over 8 months back in August of 2022, will lead to about 13 months today. They come from a team of over 20 plus experienced developers and artists, and they currently have acquired more than $1.5 million in funding. The game's going to be based as a top-down open-world pixel art MMORPG, which I think it's important here to note that it's going to be built in HTML5, which means that you can run it in any browser and not have compatibility issues, so it's going to be easy to play no matter where you are. Initially, as you can see as you're scrolling down, the game's going to take the path of other games that we've seen in the past, where they're going to mint their NFTs on Ethereum, but eventually the game is going to move over to the Avalanche blockchain and run on its own subnet, called the Mons subnet, which we'll discuss later on. That's going to mean it's going to be low fees, quicker transactions, and overall just a better user experience than running on Ethereum. Jumping over to the lore, we can kind of get an idea what the background of the game is. It's going to start with a boy named Adam who returns from school to find his home destroyed, and there's no signs of life in his town. He finds a note from his mother to go to Yorikobi Town. It's supposed to be the last safe place for some of these angry monsters, and that's where DeFi Mons really takes its form. It's based on a world where humans control monsters using magical unknown crystals that they use to tame those monsters, which we know sounds similar to games like Pokemon. As the person continues to grow up, they're allowed to choose their first monster, go into the wild, and continue to capture as many monsters as possible. This is what we call hunters. Our players are going to join Adam on the quest to find the deeper secrets in the world, to help figure out what is going on and try to bring peace to the world. With battles being so important, let's take a look at what the purpose of battles in DeFi Mons is. The battle system is going to follow a simple turn-based system that can use various variables and abilities during the fight. Players are going to be required to research well for each monster encounter, make important decisions regarding how they learn the new moves that their monsters can do, and the right attack based on the situation that they're going to face in the battle. The players are required to own at least one monster to participate in any of these battles or adventures, so you're going to want to capture one early and get them leveled up and ready to fight. Outside of the battle system, there's a couple other areas of the game that I really think are interesting that are going to set the game apart from all the others and make it really fun to play and spend your time using all the different methods you can go here. The first is adventures. You can send your monsters out on adventures in order to train them. During their adventure time, they either gain a high level of experience and have a chance to bring back items that you can use to craft into different things, or they potentially can get lost and you lose access to the monster altogether. Adding in a little something there where you can take a high risk, high reward method, or potentially just have to start over. The other thing here, there isn't a whole lot of detail on, but I think is a really interesting aspect of the game is farming and fishing. As you can kind of see in the white paper, players can use different items and crops from different elements of gameplay, from farming and fishing as well as battles and questing. And the most important thing to note here is that the farming and fishing is going to be both time and skill based. So it really depends on a lot of factors. Players can grow different types of fruit based on the seasons that require different amounts of time and different amounts of effort. Each different fruit has a different use case within the game economy, which just help kind of build on the game itself and help it really become an immersive experience of player-to-player interaction. One such example that they mention is berries, which can be used to create scents, which those scents can be used to attract different types of monsters or repel different types of monsters from appearing for a specific time period, which I think is an interesting little aspect of the game. And to go even further, each one of those crops is going to require different seeds, which players can then, sow those seeds to grow the crop, wait for the growth period, which is an undetermined amount of time, and then harvest those seeds, which then you can sell to other players through the store. You can also find those seeds in battles or, on quests. So it gives you different avenues to, really approach the game and not just focus on the capturing and leveling up of monsters. You could really base your whole experience in DeFi Mons off farming and fishing and supplying that to the economy to make some extra money. The other thing that I love that the DeFi Mons team did is add an element of in-game land, which is currently already available on OpenSea and is called Apartments. This land can be designed using a drag and drop editor that's already present. Players can invite other players, host events in their apartment, and do a whole lot more on the game mechanic side. You're going to be allowed to put your monsters there to rest for free, which will allow them to regenerate health. You also can rent those slots out to other players for a small fee that'll allow them to regain their monster's health quicker than it would be to do any other way. It's not necessary to own an apartment to take part in the DeFi experience, but it'll help you on the time side, and it'll also allow you to, recoup a little fees from other players who don't want to get involved but just want to pay quickly to get their monster's health recovered so they can continue on their journey. If you jump over to OpenSea, you can already see there is 2,795 apartments available for sale, and those are broken into 4 different categories: small, medium, large, and penthouse, which you can see in the filter below. There's only 149 penthouses available. Basically, the size of the apartment allows you to place more furniture in the items, have more people at your in-game hosted events, and allow you to rest your monsters or rent out more spaces for your monsters to regenerate health. There's currently 745 different owners, which I think is great when you look at the actual amount of items that are for sale. The floor price being, 0.0408 Ethereum, which I think is great here, as there is obviously interest in the game. There's over 116 Ethereum worth of volume since they've started, and they've just been, steadily selling. So you can see, the listings continue to go. The sales are pretty constant day over day. There's still sales. As the team gets closer to launch, I think we'll see these sales, kind of increase. But it's interesting to kind of keep an eye on this as it gets closer and closer to the actual game launch to see, if you can scoop up, one of the rare apartments for cheaper, and just try to see if you can use that to, rent out to other players and see what the going rate is for, renting those areas out for health regeneration or in-game hosted events, and just kind of see what you can do with the apartments for such a low cost. It's something that I'm definitely keeping an eye on, and I'm going to add to my in-game portfolio when it comes to, metaverse type land that's on the GameFi side. And I think I'll end up picking one up as we get closer to launch. So just interesting to watch as the team continues to build out the Ethereum mint side, and then as we progress into how that's going to work when it moves over to the Avalanche subnet. So this brings us to another aspect of the game, which is really the core part of the in-game economy, and that's trading in the greater market. So players can trade everything that they own, from monsters, items, apartment skins, and all the different things we talked about, from seeds to the crops, and pretty much anything you can think of, with other players in the game. They can do so using a marketplace, or they can do it through the in-game chat system. What's important to note is, as the game's kind of developed and they intend to push out the game both in browsers and on mobile apps, is that you're not going to be able to use the trading aspect of the game on mobile apps initially until they can figure out how to work with the restrictions in place by a lot of the app stores. So we'll kind of monitor how that takes place going forward, but you can always log into the browser instead of using the app and trade that way. So it's easy to get around and really doesn't take away from the experience at all if you're just playing through the browser. So that's one of the main purposes of the game. So you can see here, there's different, places you can do your trading. You can do it at the clothing store, which, is built for trading in-game skins between everybody. And then through, as we mentioned, the in-game chat trading, which will be an easy way to just link up with someone one-on-one, come to a deal, switch it in your inventory, and based on being on a subnet, transaction fees will be incredibly low, and it'll just be allowed for a smooth type of experience, similar to just selling something in person, where you just meet the person, give them cash or Venmo or PayPal or whatever method you use, get the item, and be on your way. You don't have to worry about filtering through a marketplace or going back to town to buy it in the marketplace if you happen to run into somebody and you can trade with them out in the wild. So I think this is an interesting way to take elements of how we've seen, World of Warcraft use the auction house to sell your items and being able to trade person to person. I think that's really the key to, how do we move Web3 gaming forward, and it's the ability to, buy and sell things, not just on the marketplace where you've got to log out of a game, go to a marketplace and buy something. You can do it in-game without having to leave, which I think will keep players in the game longer and allow them to have a more immersive and fun experience. And while the game is still in beta, there's actually a way you can get involved right now. You can either use the apartment building, or you can jump into the minigame that they currently have available, which is called Pandora Run. In Pandora Run, it's basically inspired from one of their most popular DeFi mons. It's an endless runner where players can continue to play as Pandora, which they try to run as far as they can for as long as they can, going over and under obstacles while collecting diamonds to get the highest score. These minigames can be replayed daily, and as the team kind of gets closer to release, they'll release contests and missions where you can earn skins and potentially even different items, depending on your high score and what the leaderboard says. There's also 2 more in-game minigames that are in the works called Skellyfish Jump and Dungeon Point, which are going to be released by the team at a later date, so keep an eye out for those and any quests or challenges that come along with those to get your chance to stay involved with the game early and potentially earn something before the game even releases. And the last thing I want to talk about is skin integrations within the game. Now, we've seen some projects do this in the past, but we haven't really seen it laid out as clearly as the DeFi-Mons team does on how you can get started. Now, they're aiming to create a world where different communities can come together and play mini-games and catch monsters within the games. So how are they going to do this? They're going to offer single character integrations as well as trait-based integrations to other communities for free. So it's basically giving a chance for people to come together from different communities in-game and just have fun, whether it's in-game hosted events in apartments or just having, the ability to see those types of skins running around in-game. Now, currently it's only available for certain projects, and you have to reach out to the team and coordinate early, but they give you all the information in their white paper on how you can go about it and the guidelines that you need to follow to make sure that you create the character in a way that's going to work in the game, so there's not a lot of back and forth. They even put out the template for you to use. So in addition to that, the communities can also buy apartments and host social events and just kind of advertise those. And the DeFi-Mons team's happy to announce that on social media as long as they reach out and talk early. In addition to that, they're also, they would love to have, the communities use the mini games such as Pandora Run to have, the high scores of the week earn something within that community. And that's easy to do since the game is free to play and you can do it right now. Just reach out to the team, kind of talk about exactly, what you're giving away, when the contest is going to run, and they're more than happy to, advertise that as well. It's currently, as far as integration goes, it's currently available on Ethereum, Avalanche, C-Chain, and Polygon. So if there's projects on those chains that are interested in kind of putting those characters in game and integrating with the DeFi-Mons team, you can either, fill out the form yourself if you're just doing a single character, or if you're trying to, import an entire trait series. It's the advice is, get in touch with the team because it's going to require like API pulls, so you can do that. But I think, just the fact that they went into detail within the white paper on how to accomplish this and the fact that it's available just shows how willing they are to work with other communities. And I think, that's the key at the end of the day when it comes to, growing and expanding the Web3 gaming community is not, this game against that game. It's how do we bring games together so you can operate as like an entire ecosystem, and as the community grows and more people get involved, the games that are growing together are the ones that are going to survive. And I think games like DeFi-Mons, at the heart of what they're trying to do is really trying to build that community, and that's, I think, is what is extremely important, especially as we continue to go through this kind of market that they're in now, is a huge benefit, and it's one thing I really love that the team is doing. And that about wraps it up for our overview video on DeFi-Mons. I hope you have a better understanding of what the game's all about and the exciting opportunities that await within the game. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so we can keep pushing out more contents and updates. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime on Twitter over at Trading Aloha. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.